Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to the Coito Ergo Sum DLC crossover. Last week we got as far as clearing the area around Sunstone Tower before I needed to make a loot run. I off-screened that, and while Kakata doesn't have any dialogue specific to Lonesome Road, she might not even believe I destroyed the Divide without more proof than Ulysses' word. And I don't think she'd be mad at me for accidentally launching the nuke from Ashton. But I do think she'd want me to double-check to make sure the area where it hit really was deserted and there aren't any survivors who need help. So I brought a big bag of anti-radiation meds and the spacesuit from Repcon back with me. Which brings us to another oddity of geography in the Divide. We launched the nuke from the Ashton silo here. It flew off to the north-northeast and exploded, and the map marker for Ground Zero, called the Courier's Mile, is here, which broadly makes sense. But you get to it by the road that goes off to the south from the Hopeville silo here. So presumably the road doubles back, goes all the way around the west of Hopeville and the western end of the Divide, and then turns east. Which makes more sense than cutting across the heart of the Divide itself, but it seems like it would have made more sense to get there from Ashton. Or maybe even someplace in the neighborhood of Sunstone Tower. And once again, I'm stalling because Courier Jeff doesn't know exactly what's waiting there, but I do. I mean, he would anticipate that anything that survived a nuclear missile is going to be very tough and very pissed. And oh boy is he right. We already know that marked men camp around warheads and toxic waste because radiation makes them stronger, and the ones near Ground Zero are ridiculously powerful. But there are also irradiated Deathclaws, one of the toughest Deathclaw variants in the game. And I'm just going to take some Rad-X right now. My rad resistance is over 50 in the spacesuit, but I want it as high as it can go, because unsurprisingly, the radiation levels where a nuke went off yesterday are a bit elevated. And here's the first reason to come here, a unique Bowie knife sticking in this lamppost. Blood nap. It's pretty good, but Courier Jeff is really not a melee weapons guy. Even with my rad resistance at the hard cap, I'm already taking 2 rads a second, and we're not even at the center yet. But I see a warhead. Might take out some of the Deathclaws. Or it might just annoy them. It's only been a week and I already forgot my hotkeys. Sniper rifle is 4. Got one. Didn't get a sneak attack because I was in caution, but it took 4 shots and at least one was a crit. Oh, that's not good. Headshot crit does the job, but it was already down to half health. I guess the first one went down in 4 and both crits were on that one. There are more. Quite a few more if I'm not mistaken. But we're hidden again. I'm kind of hoping we can bait the marked men on the opposite side down here. Let them duke it out with the Deathclaws and pick off the survivors. There they are. That should get their attention. 4 rads a second. Did the Rad-X already wear off? And I think I saw... Yes, here come the Deathclaws. Time to go. Courier Jeff is optimized for speed, but he can't outrun a Deathclaw. Or can he? Bet you didn't think I was ever going to get around to using that GRX implant, did you? How much distance did that buy us? Not enough. Yeah, if they can follow us through the loading screen, we're dead. Ow. But it looks like they can't. And I was in too much of a hurry to be sure, but it looked like the Deathclaws and marked men were both chasing us, not fighting each other. So much for that plan. I have plenty of anti-radiation meds. Might be time to use some more of our new toys. Shoulder-mounted machine gun. Do I have any 10mm armor piercing? I do not. Hollow points would be useless against Deathclaws. See how it goes with standard ammo. As a rule, I try not to abuse loading screens like this, but in that situation, just standing there and taking it was simply not an option. Well, that went better than I expected. But it looked like at least one of the death claws was already pretty badly injured. I don't know if more marked men. And more death claws. We're not done yet. Anyway, what I was saying, I don't know if the death claws were injured when the warhead went off, or if the marked men took a few shots at them while I was running away, but if they hadn't already been half dead when I came back through, they still might have gotten me. I say, as if I've already won and defeat was no longer possible. But it does seem far less likely than it did a minute ago. And even now, there are probably still more lurking around the crater, so don't get complacent. Take another Rad-X just to be safe. Looks like there's still at least one irradiated marked man left in their camp. And I think I saw a warhead. Yes, right there. I think at this point it's safe to tell Kakata there were no survivors who needed help. Loot these boxes quickly. Over encumbered? How much ammo was in that? I wasn't even paying attention. Figured I'd sort it later. In normal mode, this would be the best payday ever because ammo doesn't have weight. In hardcore mode, it's like a more subtle version of the dead money endgame dilemma. The game is just taunting you. Look at all the loot. You want all the loot. And this is almost as bad a place to be over encumbered. I need flamer fuel for the flare gun. Leave 357. I really don't want to leave the 50 cal. Do I have any junk I can drop? I can always get more purified water. I'm keeping the Deathclaw egg, but the hands can go. Good enough. 300 rounds of 308. You bastard. You know what? I'm out. Oh yeah, there are still more Deathclaws over there. And as much as I'd love to go see if it has an egg, still more. Nope. Well, this is slightly embarrassing. I took the wrong machine gun. That's one of the spares. The one that actually has the mods on it is probably still in my gun case. Yes. Well, swap those now just in case we run into another situation where we need to use the best toys. Oh man. I usually edit out my loot sorting sessions, but I want to show you this. The spacesuit was at full condition when we started, and it's down to half from that one encounter. The Courier's Mile is not fooling around. Okay, back where we actually left off last week, the 3rd Street Municipal building. The upper floor of which we get to by going through this pipe. Landmarks. That's the building where we had the standoff with a marked man who didn't want to come outside, and somewhere over there is where we found a broken eyebot behind a warhead. Anyway, pipes and tunnels implies tunnelers, so nail gun. Courier Max got turned around in here and got killed trying to find the exit. Twice, I think. But it's really not that hard to find. But he was avoiding XP. He didn't kill the tunnelers, made a wrong turn, and got cornered. Anyway, the exit's this way, along with a destroyed eyebot. Circuit board. Camaraderie perk rank 5, increasing your accuracy in VATS as long as Eddie is your companion. Eddie also gains an accuracy boost while he is your companion. I don't think I explained this before, but there aren't specific upgrades on specific eyebots. You always get them in the same order. Like, if I missed some earlier and this was the 3rd one we found, it would have given us the damage threshold perk. And the reason Courier Max even came through here in the first place, there's a skill book on the upper floor of the Municipal building. Why am I opening a fridge? There's nothing I'm going to take. But there is a dead NCR trooper I didn't notice before. Lots of 308. Won't say no to that. More 308. And elite riot gear. Take his helmet. Yes, he's another ghoul, like the one at the crow's nest. I think that one had advanced riot gear, not elite. I'm going to leave it and pick it up the next time I make a loot run. Like I said, I'm not sure if the NCR sent ghoul troopers on the scouting mission because they're immune to radiation, or if these guys were turned into ghouls after they got here. Anyway, the skill book is over here behind this desk. Speech. Don't need it, but that's where it is if you do. Excuse me, Eddie. Do we need to go back through the tunnel, or can you jump? That looks safe. Ish. Yeah, easy. Up next, the Cave of the Abaddon. I mentioned in the Skills Dash series that Abaddon can refer to a place of destruction, an archangel of the abyss, or an angel who commanded an army of locusts. The eyebot behind the warhead was somewhere back there. And the warhead that usually blocks the way to the cave is one of the ones we blew up from the top of Sunstone Tower, so we don't have to deal with that now.
Though I may have done some fooling, this is why I never fell.
Recording of Eddie getting ambushed somewhere on his journey. Skill checks for guns or repair. Go with repair. Sounds like they blew out your primary stabilizing jets. I can't believe you kept going after that. Yeah, no wonder you didn't make it all the way to Navarro. Pretty obvious what it was, but we'll ask. Yes, ambushed by raiders. You're lucky you got away from them. They would have sold you for scrap in a heartbeat. Well, I don't like the look of this place. We should keep moving. And he is not wrong to be scared. The name of the cave could be referencing any or all of the meanings I mentioned, since there's a tunneler queen and a huge swarm of tunnelers in here. And is it just me, or did it get dark all of a sudden? That's actually a very cool effect. The cave isn't technically an interior in terms of the game engine. There's no loading screen. It's part of the exterior world space. And normally in places like that, like the Dead Money Villa, the lighting inside a building is the same as it is everywhere else in that exterior. Couple ways they could have done it, but it's pretty clever. Very immersive. There's no loading screen to give you a breather or a heads up that shit's about to get real. Anyway, you can see there's already red on the compass, and there are a lot more around the corner. And 4 episodes in, there's our first real DLC crossover content, a Lollipops sign on that building. Now, the conflict avoidance strategy Courier Max used was based on how the AI pathfinding works. They can't climb the cliff, so if you get their attention, they'll go around the ramp to the right and come up behind you. Make a run for it at that point, and they won't jump off the cliff to follow you. They'll go around the long way, and you have a huge head start for the exit. Which actually did work brilliantly. But Courier Jeff is not avoiding conflict, and just like the Courier's Mile, we are at the point where it's time to start using all the new toys the game has given us. I said in the first episode, I don't use mines very often because in the past I've gotten chased into my own minefield and was caught in the blast radius when enemies set them off, but in this case I'm laying down a few rows to cover my back while I snipe tunnelers from the edge of the cliff. If I hear mines going off behind me, I obviously don't go backwards, I jump off. So it should be perfectly safe. And this is probably where the video will jump cut to me exploding. Oh, we're in caution. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't notice me until I was set up and ready to go. Now, where are they? You're kidding me. I come up with another elaborate plan, and now they're going to hang out at the opposite end of the cave. Great. Well, as long as we're using all the new toys. Yeah, the initial hit hardly does any damage, but actually the burn damage doesn't appear to be doing that much either. And flares make them flee, so it ran over to its friends around the corner. The opposite of what I wanted. I was hoping a little bit of light and noise would attract their attention. There's one at least. Well, drop a few flares over there and maybe we'll get lucky. Hit some and make them flee in this direction. Which, if I fall off the cliff, is exactly what will happen. Good. Yeah, being cornered at the bottom of the cliff with a dozen tunnelers between me and the exit, and the only way to run is back into my minefield, that's just about as wrong as this could possibly go. Let's try that again without falling off. They are not falling for it. Guess we'll do it the hard way. For the record, this is a terrible idea. At least there's more room to maneuver than the Ashton elevator. Hopefully I can dance around, keep switching targets, and keep enough of them stunned with the nail gun that we don't get swarmed. Hey, stunning. More new toys. Flag. Did that stun any of them? Not those two. I just said don't get cornered. Ran into a corner. There's the queen. Yeah, we need to make a hasty retreat. Plans A and B failed. Time for running around like a maniac. Not sure if that flashbang bought me any time, but the GRX implant definitely saved my ass. Heal my crippled limbs. There are still more. Did I get the queen, or is she the one that's still alive? It's none of them. Let's find out. There. Hulking tunnel, not the queen. Damn it. Just wasted a doctor's bag. You can see on the kill cam there's an auto dock in here. You can't use it unless all the tunnelers are dead, but I think they are now. Well, no reason not to use it anyway. Heal my hit points and rads at least. There's the queen. There's not much special about her, other than she's much tougher and hits a lot harder than other tunnelers. But killing her doesn't stop them from spawning, and she doesn't have any unique loot or anything. And here we have Lollipops. This never even crossed my mind when I was making the mod, but the way I've been role-playing Courier Jeff made me realize that purely by accident, this lets Coito Ergo Sum dovetail perfectly with the vanilla game and Lonesome Road, the whole theme of repeating the past. We're right in the heart of the Divide proper, where the settlement the Courier helped build was located, the one Ulysses keeps calling our home. Which, who knows, this building could have still been standing upright and operating before he delivered the package that blew everything up. And I don't really want to waste water, but I'm going to take one for the team and wait for daylight so we can see. Anyway, after you accidentally destroy your home and everyone in it, you try to forget by staying busy, take the job to deliver the platinum chip, get shot in the head by Benny, and lose your memory. Then you find another Lollipops and another community that needs your help and will welcome you as a neighbor. Of course you're going to gravitate to that. Like I say, that didn't occur to me when I was making Coito Ergo Sum or the crossover, but if nothing else, it's a sign that Courier Jeff has always been a kind, if reckless, pervert. Which, for better or worse, I seem to have no trouble role-playing whatsoever. Anyway, there's a vintage Lollipops magazine among the rubble. That's one we already have. And I think there's another one on the wall behind the bar, which is now the floor. Yeah, we can climb back up this shelf. There's also a war dramatic. Doesn't do anything. There's another magazine. And that isn't one we already have. It's added by the crossover mod. Holovid. I think we do have that, but there's a theme. Okay, war dramatic offline. Back up now. That's how we get the new patterns. So read the first note to main office. I know the trouble with Larry is hurting business everywhere, but we get a lot of customers from nearby military bases. If people start believing that BS about him being a traitor, we might as well pack it in here. And the reply, I appreciate your concern. The legal team is still confident that Larry will be acquitted despite the tragedy with Stoney. In the meantime, I spoke with Lana Elsker. She's willing to make a number of limited engagement appearances on stage at clubs with your problem. The publishing division can provide reprints of her best-selling back issues to take full advantage of the merchandising opportunity. Considering the popularity of her USO tours, I'm confident this will stop the bleeding until public opinion swings back in our favor. Which is why there are so many magazines and movies she appeared in scattered around. And I think there's one more in the kitchen. Yes, on the end of that counter, which apparently we have to jump down there to get. While my memory of Lonesome Road is still pretty fresh from the Skills Dash series, I didn't have Coito Ergo Sum installed for that. I didn't have any mods active, so there was no suspicion I might be using mods to cheat. But Courier Max wouldn't have stopped here on his way through, even if I did. My point being, I probably haven't played this since I made it, and I definitely don't remember exactly how this little platforming puzzle works. I don't think you can get into the dressing room. Because it's all tilted on its side, the player's hitbox is taller than the width of the door frame. Which you could obviously crawl through, but let's pretend we didn't see that. Okay, it's gotta be this I-beam. Then to the counter. Then the column. But we don't have any room to get a running start. And that looks too high to jump even if we could. Oh, got squeezed off the edge. Try that again. Okay. There's the door we need to get out, right? So it's got to be some combination of the I-beam, the counter, maybe some of this other platforming gimmickry, right? Wrong. Kitchen vent. Upon removing the filter and cover, it appears the ductwork is wide enough for a person to crawl through. Barely. The duct turns east after a short drop, presumably toward what was once the roof. If the exhaust vent isn't buried, it may be the only way to escape this death trap. And in hardcore mode, it is a death trap, because I won't tell you how long it took me to figure that out, but here's a hint. I'm now out of purified water. So crawl through the duct. And we're out. If anyone watching played the mod when it came out and was frustrated by that puzzle, there's a little poetic justice for me being a dick when I made it. This door leads to a stairwell that gets us to the roof. I don't think there's anything in here, but might as well be sneaky just in case. Dead marked man. Money and meds. And there's a room at the top with a skill book I don't want to forget before we exit. Right here. Or maybe not right here. Right there.
Next week on Ralphie the Robot's Incredible Odyssey.
Ralphie, hurry! If mean old General Winters catches you, you'll never make it home! No! Ralphie, fly far, fly fast!
Tune in next Saturday for the exciting conclusion. Only on Vault-Tec Channel 9.
Eddie? What are you doing in here all alone? And who left these old videos playing? Come on, let's get you into your recharge bay. We've got a big day tomorrow.
Suddenly things make a lot more sense. Like why Whitley said Eddie was picking up bad habits from watching too many old videos, and why Eddie mentioned General Winters, even though the only other names we heard from Whitley were Dr. Grant and Colonel Autumn. If you played Fallout 3, Colonel Autumn and the Hellfire Armor Project are callbacks that are clearly intended to make you sympathetic to Whitley and Eddie, although I'm pretty sure most people would be even if they didn't get those references. We know he's trying to find his way home, no need to ask that. Yes, Eddie, I'm sure Ralphie the robot would be very proud of you. Ooh, this is awkward. Ulysses said the duplicate iBots can't leave the divide, so while we might be able to help Mojave Eddie finish his mission, it doesn't help the one here. Although, it's strongly implied that they have some kind of communication link, like how all the upgrades and perks you get here also get added to the original back home, so maybe that's good enough. I'll do whatever I can to help you get home, after we deal with things here. Well, we've got to fly far and fly fast if we want to get to the end of the divide. Anyway, skill book. It's over here in the corner. Yeah, beside this desk. Medicine. You know the drill. Not the one I need, but that's where it is if you do. Now, when we step outside, Ulysses is going to force greet us for what will be the last time before we meet him face to face.
Thought that explosion, that building falling deep in the divide, might have been your work. Wouldn't kill you. Maybe close. Knew you'd survive, but no need to go any farther. You've brought me what I need. That machine with you, sealed in the Hopeville silo. Needed someone to unlock it, bring it home. Now the signal's strong enough. No need for you to carry it anymore. I can call your machine to me.
Well, that's great. I try not to let my ego get in the way of my objectivity, but obviously I don't try hard enough. Here I've been assuming this was all about me, either to force me to accept and acknowledge that I'd destroyed the divide, and along with it that first tiny seed of hope you had that there might be another, better way to build a civilization, or even the extremely remote possibility that it was an elaborate revenge plot for killing Kaisar. But it was really all about getting the robot. Which, okay, that's all about me too, but that's not ego talking. My Pip-Boy is an emotionless, objective computer that does constant skill assessments on me, and it says my science skill is 100. I mean, that other stuff might be icing on the cake, but if you need to manipulate somebody into doing a hacking job for you, really, who else would you pick? The question is, why?
It's a messenger, like us, and it shares our history. If you feel its loss, remember, you could have turned away at any time, gone back home, and none of this would have happened. But you had to make one last delivery, and that's why I knew you'd come, Courier. Couldn't stay away. It's who you are.
Yeah, but what's so important about him?
What's inside that machine? That's all that mattered. All the machines here, made of wreckage from the divide, and all that was brought here. Inside its frame, it carries the message you brought here, and it'll do what it was programmed to do. Whatever it can to get home. The giants here will listen to it. I'll bring the divide to your home, your nation. Let its flag burn, just like you let the divide burn. Big Mountain Access Code, Ulysses. Command override. Navarro.
Ulysses has seized control of Eddie. You have lost Eddie as a companion, and everything he was carrying has been transferred to you. Fortunately, he wasn't carrying anything for me. You have lost Eddie's enhanced sensors perk. And there he goes. That's a special animation for this scene. Like I said a couple weeks ago, he can't really fly in normal gameplay. And flares means marked men, and now I won't be able to see them as far away on the compass. I do, however, see, yes, a warhead, with a campfire directly above it, which is also the direction Eddie went and where the quest marker is. So presumably there are marked men camped out trying to break into Ulysses' base and kill him. Have I finally discovered the maximum range on this thing? No, I think that's getting it. Kill cam. Something up there died when it went off. Well, either the enemies haven't spawned yet or they're staying behind cover and they're too far away to show up on the compass without Eddie's companion perk. So I guess we'll go down to ground level and see where they are. What's blowing up? Hey, looks like a warhead. Looks like a warhead mounted on a missile. There's no way, but it's worth a shot. I've never noticed that you can see that from out here. If you could do this and you got a message, Ulysses has died, quest complete, I would laugh my ass off. But no. It's not even glowing. The detonator's just for emergency disposal of loose warheads. Guess it doesn't work when they're properly mounted and armed. And armed is the key word there. Ulysses was a bit cryptic, but it sure sounded to me like he's planning to nuke the NCR. Which, setting aside the horrific moral implications for a second, would mitigate any risk they might pose to my adult entertainment empire. On the other hand, allowing the mass murder of my biggest potential market probably isn't a great business strategy. And I see death claws. Find a spot where they'll have trouble getting to me and pick them off. Up this fallen freeway support looks good. It worked for Courier Max anyway. Caution. They know somebody's here. Danger. If they do corner me, I'm dead, so I'm not messing around. Get out the shoulder-mounted machine gun. And this is the fully upgraded one. Hiding behind the waterfall. You bastards. One down. Two down, and I'm out of ammo. Perfect timing. But I'm still in caution. Probably marked men over in that building. I don't see any. I'm guessing they spawn when we blow up the next warhead to clear the path forward, but they might already be there just staying in cover until I get close. Either way, gotta go over there. But first, the rules of video game design clearly state that if there's a waterfall, you must put a secret treasure behind it. And something better than that duffel bag. Red Danger graffiti from Ulysses. Presumably put there because he didn't know that he'd already have the robot by the time I got this far. And there's a warhead. Still in caution, so whatever's guarding the treasure, a warhead didn't kill it. There's that getting dark inside a cave that's actually part of the exterior effect again. Very cool. And now we're trapped inside with a nuke-resistant monster. Better and better. Is that it? I think that's it. It's not aggroed. Won't look that gift horse in the mouth. Sneak attack crit on Rawr. Which, as you saw from the kill cam, is a unique Deathclaw boss. And I'm still in caution, so either something else is detecting me or my detection status is just glitched, because Roar wasn't aggroed, and I wouldn't have gotten a sneak attack if it knew I was here. 2 eggs and Roar's talon. This claw is larger and more impressive than those of lesser death claws. You might be able to turn it into a weapon if you find a workbench, which I believe does let you craft a unique version of the Deathclaw Gauntlet. If you specialize in hand-to-hand combat, that might be very welcome indeed. Now we just need to blow up that warhead to get out. And back to it. Now I see marked men around the next warhead. And despite a brief waterfall-related distraction, when somebody's threatening to launch nukes, that is not the time for any fooling around. Go back up on my favorite perch and break out the last of the new toys. Red Glare, fully upgraded. And load it with the best rockets we have. High explosive. And let's see what it does. Like I said when we found it, it's ridiculous, it's fun, and that was exactly the kind of situation it's designed for. Still in caution. Yeah, I think the detection status is glitched. It might sort itself out the next time we go through a loading screen, or it might not, but it doesn't look like any new enemies spawned. I don't know if the red on top of that building is on top or inside it, but it doesn't look like it's under it, at least. Probably shoot us in the back when we come out. No? Well, cross that bridge when we come to it. No pun intended. Oh, what was that? Looked like maybe they tried to throw a plasma grenade down here and it didn't clear the edge of the building. Hey, I see a warhead. And marked men. Now I don't see either. I don't know what happened to Plasma Grenade Guy. He was nowhere near close enough for that explosion to have gotten him. He'll probably sneak up on us later. Now, at the back of this little gully right under the last warhead we blew up, there's a cave with a skill book. Waste disposal station. And I know, nuclear missile, tick-tock, but hello. And I just saw one use a stealth boy. Yeah, we're not the only ones saving our best toys for the end. But if we wait until he comes through that water, he'll make ripples. There he is. He had a minigun, but I shot it out of his hands. And he picked it back up. I've said several times these guys aren't stupid, and fair enough. Guy in power armor, break out the thermic lance. Guy in a t-shirt, that's a job for the minigun. But little did they know. Anyway, as I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted, considering how messed up the landscape is and how many times we've had to backtrack and platform to get around obstacles already, Courier Jeff has no way of knowing this isn't how you get into Ulysses' base. Take some Rad-X. And somewhere behind these barrels... Oh, there's a special briefcase. Lead-lined metal box. Those usually have good meds, and this is no exception. There's the skill book. Survival. You know, I don't even have to say it. There's the warhead we need to move forward, but I think I also saw... Yeah, up there. Kill cam. Another one with marked men I didn't even see hiding behind it. And now the other one. I should still be under the effect of the Radex, so we don't need to wait for that to cool down. Caution. Somebody noticed. I mean, duh. I'm blowing up warheads. Of course somebody's gonna notice. Wait, you're going the right way, Graffiti. Ulysses may have not known exactly how close we'd need to get before his signal would be strong enough to hijack Eddie. Red on the compass. I wonder if this is Plasma Grenade Guy. I'd like to believe it is. Our final confrontation with him. I really don't need to be looting right now. Satchel charge. I will take that just in case I come running back down the building with guys hot on my heels and they set it off. There he is. Sneak attack crit on Blade. Yeah, I forgot to thank the comments for explaining I was right about there being 4 unique Markman bosses, but they said you only need to kill 3 of them to complete the challenge, which is why I got it when I killed Bonesaw. So, a week or 2 late, but thank you. Blade has the Blade of the West, which I think is a unique weapon, in addition to one of the 4 unique helmets. And marked patrol armor. I have marked Scout, marked Trooper, and marked Tribal, but I don't think I've seen this one. Plenty of carry capacity. Take it, and if I'm wrong, I'll just have a duplicate. There's another warhead. That's a little too close. You don't actually need to blow this one up to get into the wastewater treatment plant, but we do need it for the warhead challenge. And we don't actually need to go into the wastewater treatment plant to find Ulysses, but Courier Jeff doesn't know that. And there's a skill book inside. Nobody else around? Good. Pipes and sewers implies tunnelers, so we probably want the nail gun, not the sniper rifle. If I remember correctly from the Skills Dash series, there are actually tunnelers and marked men in here, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Indeed there are. I've lost count of the marked men aren't stupid incidents, but he's using a flare gun against the tunneler, so they flee and give him some breathing room. And the tunnelers panic, so they don't pay any attention to me. I probably shouldn't kill them yet. I'm just going to let this play out. A valiant effort, but I don't see the marked men anymore. I think they got him in the end. A tiny bit of vindication after the fiasco at the Courier's Mile. I finally got to let 2 groups of enemies kill each other and then pick off the survivors. Hello. More marked men. That's what you get for hiding in here while your buddy was being torn apart by tunnelers. I mean, I did the same thing, but I wanted him to die. You presumably didn't. Or maybe they did. Hey, it sounds like, shut up, he's a dick. We hear nothing, right? Another Blade of the West. So that's not a unique weapon, just rare. I don't know, maybe it's not even that rare and I just never noticed one because I don't pay attention to melee weapons. Take it and repair the other one. And the real reason we're here, back in the corner, hidden behind the lockers, is the skill book, unarmed. And that is one I need. The last one, in fact. Read that right now. Pugilism Illustrated. Unarmed up by 4. And our skills should now be straight 100s. A couple of them have plus signs because of buffs on my gear, but I should have straight 100s even when I'm naked. Okay, the strength buff from my cybernetic spine is weird. It's not technically permanent, even though there's no way to lose it, but if you saw last week's episode, the level up screen doesn't lie, and it said I had straight 100s except unarmed, so now they're all legit, natural 100s. And don't forget to put my clothes back on. They don't add any damage threshold, but it might be awkward the next time I go into third-person camera. Now, the actual way forward is up where Blade was standing. I can't tell you how long I spent trying to figure this out the first time I played Lonesome Road because I wasn't paying attention to Ulysses' graffiti. You can probably imagine me obsessively trying to climb every piece of rubble in this corner of the map for hours, which is exactly what I did. But from here, you can see that there's a... well, maybe see better from up here. There's a fallen structure of some kind that makes a bridge across the path that leads back to the waste disposal station. And all we need to do is go back down the stairs and walk across it. How about we jump on that I-beam and pretend there was some tricky climbing involved? Yeah, now I feel much better. And like I say, right now we're directly over the path that leads back to the waste disposal station. Anyway, we're almost there. Through this building just ahead, through the marked men camp on top of the cliff, and we're there. Warhead didn't kill all of the marked men up here, and they have stealth boys. Had stealth boys. Hello. Grenade. Ow. I'm on fire. Seriously? 4 episodes of me bragging up how smart marked men are, and now they're going to do that. Let's be generous and say he was working out on a treadmill with headphones on. Yeah. Discovered all locations in the Divide. Ulysses Temple being the last, which is obviously our destination. So let's go check it out. A big blast door. Certainly not inconsistent with it being another missile silo. Well, the ballistic missile sticking out of the roof might have been another hint. I believe the first part of this is fairly sedate. And since we're at the level cap, we don't get any more XP, but we still get the quest complete message. And the message for the next one starting. Dead marked man. Oh. Money and meds, but I just heard a sentry bot.
Files detected. Continuing perimeter sweep.
Maybe not quite as sedate as I was thinking. Hey, 2 vacuum tubes for Coyote. I think they're the first ones we've seen this whole DLC. We're getting all the Coito Ergo Sum content this week. And another one. I mentioned in Old World Blues, they're not placed in the DLC by the crossover. Coito Ergo Sum adds them to the loot list for toolboxes and other appropriate containers, so they can spawn anywhere, including in the DLC. It sounded like the sentry bot is right here, but there's nothing on the compass. There it is. Not gonna come into the... Oh, it's frenzied. I hit the combat inhibitor. Doesn't have anything else to attack, but at least it was confused. There's another sentry bot that seems to be a bit confused. It's not active right now, but more importantly, there's Eddie. You can see him better if you're close to one of the window frame segments. So let's let him out. I bought maintenance reports. 2 pods inactive, unoccupied, power diverted to iBot synthesis pod in main launch chamber. Not surprising, we've known since Hopeville that the silo facilities were replicating iBots. But pod 2 is active, occupied, and the iBot has 0% damage, so Eddie is okay. Access iBot maintenance area. Warning, iBot maintenance security system activated. Do you wish to proceed? Which means the sentry bot is going to wake up, but I think we can handle it. Any chance I have some pulse grenades? No. Using the GRX implant was probably overkill, but why get my limbs blown off again? Crap. Didn't even notice that turret. Fortunately, it didn't notice me either. 2 of them. Open repair pod 2. And we get another little animation, sort of like when we first met him. Science check. There must have been an override function piggybacked on Ulysses' last broadcast. That's what pulled you here. And we know the answer from the status terminal, but we might as well ask. Are you okay? Whatever he's planning, Ulysses obviously wants you here. And while I know the second sentence is intended as understated irony, I only control my actions. How Ulysses feels about them is entirely up to Ulysses, so if he's disappointed, I can't help that. Let's go. Eddie has once again given us the enhanced sensors perk. Access main corridor. And in said main corridor, we have an auto dock, which I don't actually need at the moment, an emergency kit, which has suspiciously few medical supplies in it, and if there's nothing else to loot in here, the elevator to Ulysses' temple. Once you ascend this elevator, you cannot return until you end this. If you have anything else you want to do before going ahead, take care of it now. And in fact, I do. Specifically, live the rest of my life. Ulysses spent years on the setup to lure Courier Jeff to the Divide just so he could activate Eddie and deliver him here, because he has the launch codes. And while rescuing Eddie was an optional objective, even if I had no sentimental attachment to Eddie whatsoever, no Eddie, no launch codes. No launch codes, no launch. Problem solved. So we'll just step back. Come on, let's get you out of his broadcast range before he realizes you're gone. These mole rats are getting awfully brave hanging out near the cave of the Abaddon. I know you have the run of the place since I killed everything else, but I have a bad feeling the tunnelers will respawn, queen or no queen. I left Eddie near the canyon wreckage. This obviously means a threesome is off the table, but he turned out not to be the kind of person I thought he was. And sure, if he tries to find Eddie, my pet mole rats aren't going to stop him, but his signal override only works close to the temple, so what would be the point? What? He can't drag him back to the temple, fighting his repulsors the whole way. I mean, no. No, he couldn't have gotten the codes before I rescued Eddie. He would have launched already, right? Unless it was all about me, and he wanted me to be there to see it. And if he gets tired of waiting... Fine, I'll go back and check. Sorry, that was just an overly dramatized loot run. I am going back. But this is a really convenient place to call it a day, so thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for what will almost certainly be the series finale next week.